Now, for our fourth session of the day, we'll soon be joined by Joe Ryan, VP of Intelligence at Overhaul. Now, the traditional intelligence cycle comprises of 5 elements: planning and direction, collection, processing, analysis and production, and lastly, dissemination and feedback. This cycle is normally applied to the 3 types of intelligence: strategic, operational, and tactical. When the type and purpose of intelligence is clearly defined and all 5 elements are followed, intelligence can be a powerful tool in the fight against cargo crime. However, is the current array of cargo crime intelligence products available in the industry today adhering to these tried and tested intelligence types and principles? Is cargo crime intelligence as effective as it could be? And what can we improve to enable decision makers at the strategic, operational and tactical levels to win the battle against increasing levels of cargo crime and become more resilient? Well, let's find out. Joe, welcome to the studio, and over to you.
Thank you, Sam, and thanks for the opportunity to speak here today. As Sam said, I'm the VP of Intelligence in Overhaul, and Overhaul have just launched Intelligence as a Service. So I thought I'd use today as an opportunity to talk about what we believe intelligence is and where we believe intelligence is going in the industry. In the army, there's a joke that says military intelligence is a contradiction in terms, and I can understand that. Most people normally concentrate on intelligence failures, and they don't concentrate on the intelligence that is successful every day, because success can be hidden. But no matter what your understanding of intelligence is, the term intelligence has become very popular in boardrooms recently. In recent articles in The Economist and the Financial Times, they say more and more multinationals are acquiring the services of geopolitical risk advisors and intelligence specialists, because they are now exposed to broader risks and they want to understand what those risks are. So let's break down that hype and look at what a good intelligence program can bring the industry in general, and what that intelligence cycle looks like in a commercial world. Albert Einstein says that talking to yourself is a sign of intelligence, where answering yourself is a sign of insanity. One definition of intelligence. But the definition I like is intelligence is the direction, the collection, the processing, the analysis, and the dissemination of information to allow decision makers make timely and informed decisions. Now, the reason I like that definition is essentially it breaks down all the structural parts required to produce a valuable intelligence program within any organization. So before we move on, I'd really like to talk about the difference between intelligence and information. When we talk about intelligence, there are certain aspects that build up to that phase. The first thing we need to do is we need to pick an operational environment. In our case, it is the logistics and supply chain. So that's the environment that we're going to work on. Next, we're going to gather as much data as possible from as many sources as possible, and we're going to verify that information to make sure that it's real, especially in this time of false information. Then we process that data and we organize it into what we called structured information. Only when we have enough relevant, verified, structured information can we apply analysis to that information. And it is analysis that turns structured information into intelligence. So although we can have some automated data analysis, really if you want to move from structured information to analysis, you need an analyst. An analyst who is a subject matter expert in the operational environment that you choose to work in. So let's look at what is a typical cargo crime intelligence in the industry at the moment. And I've sort of simplified it a bit, but 8 trucks were stolen in the Netherlands, 20 trucks were stolen in Germany. So this is where we are collecting the data and verifying the data. Next, we start to structure that, and we say more trucks are stolen in Germany than in the Netherlands, along this route, in this location. Food and drink are the most stolen items, etc., etc. And we start structuring that information and processing it in that way. And then, in some cases, more so at a high level at the moment, we say, what is the reason that those trucks were stolen in Germany? And that's where the analysis part comes in. So ultimately, what we're trying to do is find a solution and define a plan for the action that we're going to take to mitigate these issues. And in terms of analysis, we want to find out who is doing it, when it's going to happen again, and how we are going to prevent it in the future. So those questions bring me to the next element, which is, how do we define analysis? So there are 4 different types of analysis, and depending on the direction that you have been asked to produce the intelligence, you're going to use one of these 4, or a combination of them all. So you have descriptive analysis, which is what happened. Then you have diagnostic analysis, which is why did it happen. You have prescriptive analysis, which is when is it going to happen again. And then descriptive analysis, which is what should we do about it. And an analyst should give those reports in those ways to the people who require them. So what I think is missing from the elements that we were talking about previously, which was the example I gave, what we're missing is direction, better analysis aimed at the people who need to receive it, and dissemination. How do we disseminate it to get it to the right people at the right time? So knowing the difference between the different elements of intelligence, let's go back and look at that typical example of intelligence that's in the industry. I'm going to set this in the military context first, so you can see how it makes sense. Okay, so, sorry. I've lost myself. Of course I have. So in the military context, we will say there are 5 soldiers in a ditch in front of you preparing to attack your position. So that's operational data. It's analysis driven, and it's for a section commander, and it's called the execution phase. And what we want is the section commander to take action on that piece of intelligence that he has given. And that's why it's called the execution stage. Do something about this now. The next level up then is that there are special forces in the area with laser target designation. There's aircraft hunting, waiting for that, etc. So that's a tactical analysis. It's for a battalion commander, and it's the procedural phase. So he needs to start procedures that he has already practiced, or create procedures to go and find these people. What do I need to do that will prevent this happening? I need more anti-aircraft defenses, etc. So it's procedural. And then the last phase is XXX country are targeting your cyber infrastructure. It's strategic, it's advisory, and it's for a National Defence Committee. And what do we want them to do? We want them to have a policy around, we will put sanctions on this country, we will take an aggressive counter-cyber strategy, etc. And the important word here is that it's strategic. So we have the execution, we have the procedure, and we have the strategic elements. Now let's put that back into the supply chain context. There was 5 cargo thefts in this location in the past month by a known organised crime gang. Again, it's data driven and it's for the driver. This is the execution phase. We want the driver to do something about this imminent threat. We want them to pick a different parking spot. We want them to move. This is a threat that he has to react to immediately. The next element, again, the tactical stage, slashing of curtain-siders parked in an unsecure parking spot constitutes just 70% of cargo crime along this route. This is this is tactical intelligence. It's analysis driven, and it's for a route planner. So the route planner should be looking at, what route should I take? Have I picked secure parking spots? Have I paid for them? Inform the driver of the modus operandi of thefts that happen along that route, and etc. So that's the action we want them to take. Lastly, there's the war has increased the cost of living by 9%. It has increased the scarcity and cost of certain items. This is strategic intelligence, advisory driven, and it's for the supply chain managers. And it's a policy stage again. The product has become more desirable than it was last year. It costs more. Criminals are targeting it. What additional policies are we going to take if we want to continue in this region, in this country? Do we abandon the country? What risk mitigation policy measures are we going to take? So, back to the basics. What is the purpose of cargo crime intelligence? Cargo crime intelligence, I'm going to say, is different to supply chain management, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But essentially, we're looking for operational, tactical, and strategic intelligence, and we want to aim that intelligence at the different levels of who is going to receive it. So operationally, we want to get that intelligence to the driver. Tactically, we want to get it to route planners. Strategically, we want to get it to policymakers so that they can mitigate risk at every level. So I believe cargo crime intelligence and supply chain risk management, which again I haven't spoken about in this presentation, it's in their infancy. I believe there are few companies out there that are receiving intelligence in that structured way, so they know how to disseminate it, and they disseminate it in a timely fashion to the people who need it, so that we are getting proper risk mitigation in place. I believe vendors like ourselves who are in this area, we're still working with data capture, we're still working with data verification, big data analysis, open source intelligence, etc., and producing what we believe that the market wants. But we're in this infancy period where the market mightn't be quite sure of what they want, and we're not quite sure of what to produce to give them. So we're growing in that area. So where can we improve on what we are currently doing? We need to have better clarity of purpose, and we need to direct analysts as to what you want, when you want it, and what type of intelligence that you need. We can collect more data. We need to have wider capture. We need to have better verification, and we need to include contextual data, which is there's a storm, there's a bridge down, there's a geopolitical issue, there's social unrest issues. those type of delays, delayed logistics is nearly as bad as stolen logistics in some cases. We can be better at processing the information. We can apply more filters, more types, and we can allow organizations self-service the data so that they can analyze it in the way that they need. And we need to be more structured in the analysis. We need to know exactly what analysis we are applying, and we need to know how to get that information to the driver, the planner, etc. At the moment, I don't believe that we are doing that. But what we also need is market feedback. We need the market to tell us, yes, that's valuable. You sent me that, I'd like this. And that's where this whole interest in intelligence is going to start building within the organization. So to sum up, I think intelligence capability is definitely made its way into the boardroom. And as practitioners and as users, we need to find a way to integrate intelligence into everyday decision making that is in the that are in organizations. I'll go back 20, 30 years when health and safety was, I'll say, not considered as important. Now, no organization will embark on a program without health and safety taking a look at it. And I believe that's where intelligence needs to be. I believe, like my own appointment, VP of Intelligence, I believe there needs to be appointment within organizations with intelligence as a title. And it needs to get into every level of the organization, and it needs to be considered at every level, because we just saw it affects the driver, it affects the planner, it affects the people in the boardroom. So therefore we need a structure that is going to be able to do that. Did I overrun, Sam?
No, not at all. Thank you so much, Joe. Just coming on to thank you. And because you raised some really interesting points, and I think we've got a few minutes to just dive a little deeper into those. So you mentioned different terminologies, intelligence versus information, or cargo crime intelligence versus supply chain risk management. Why are these distinctions so important?
Yeah, to me, and maybe it's just a thing in me, but I really feel that terminology definitions is important, so that the client knows what they're asking for, and the person producing it understands their definition and gives them that. At the moment, I think it's too broad a term, cargo crime intelligence, and we interchange cargo crime and supply chain. And to me, and other people, supply chain is about who you've used, your second tier, your third tier suppliers. How confident are we that this raw material is going to be available on this route to meet our just-in-time manufacturing? So when we're talking about cargo crime, we're talking about trucks on the side of the road being stolen. When we're talking about supply chain, we're talking about a whole different area. So supply chain to me is at more of a board level. How is this going to affect our manufacturing? Cargo crime is about trucks on the side of the road. So we can't interchange those.
Is there a way that we can be a bit clearer about the terminology? Is the industry itself?
Yeah, I think as an industry, and again, I believe that this is in its infancy, when we're producing intelligence, we have to say what type of intelligence it is. So if a facility was saying, we need some security technology, what does that mean? Does it mean access control? Does it mean an alarm? Does it mean CCTV? They wouldn't be so broad as to say, I need that. But at the moment, the industry, because intelligence hasn't matured, are going, I need intelligence. So as vendors, we need to say, this is the type of intelligence. I do CCTV. I do real-time execution intelligence. I will tell your drivers when to move. Or I do geopolitical intelligence, etc. So they have to be more clear, and maybe it's an education process for us both, but they need to be more clear about what they're asking for, and we need to be absolutely clear about what we're giving them and stop using these generalized terminologies.
What level of demand would you say there is for the type of solution that you've been describing?
Well, at the start I was saying there was interestingly, there was a report in the Financial Times, there was a report in The Economist, and from around 2017, company offices or company registration offices have seen an increase in the word intelligence in the description of it. So I think COVID has really brought this about. I think people wanted to know where their product was. Now that they know where it is, they're saying, well, what risks is it exposed to? And so I think it's become really, that's why I go back and talk about health and safety. I think intelligence is going to mature into that sort of health and safety must-have at every level and developed within the organisation.
And just finally, where can a solution like this really be taking us in the future? You know, how will it be relevant in a world where autonomous trucking is happening, or in a new era of drone deliveries? How is it applicable there?
Yeah. I think like every service, it's going to develop. The interesting thing about intelligence is predictive intelligence is quite difficult. So that's why we get these intelligence mistakes. But so we're trying to chase the criminal or chase the threat constantly. And if we say that's a bad parking area, don't park there, and we're effective in telling people not to park there, well then the truck will move somewhere else. And criminals who can change and pivot their business plan much faster than we ever can will then start attacking there. So we're constantly moving. Autonomous trucks, people go, well, we won't have drivers parking where they're not meant to park, etc. But equally, I think the methodology will be you'll put a car in front of a truck and you'll slow down because the autonomous truck won't crash. You'll stop the truck and you'll rob it. You won't even have a driver to tell you that the truck is being stolen. So so we'll advance in these areas where the market brings us. But that's where the industry, the intelligence industry, within the commercial area, need to constantly look at where the market is going. And that's why analysts are more important than ever. Not data analytics. You need an analyst. You need someone that will see the different aspects, bring it together, and then say, this is where I think we're going. We're always going to try to be predictive, but we're never going to get it 100% right.
Joe, thank you so much for your time today and for coming into the studio. It's been great having you. Thanks
Not
very
at all.
much.
Great. Thanks very much.
Now, Overhaul is one of the TAPA EMEA 2023 Premier Partners, which you can connect with right now if you visit our online exhibition. You'll find this in the navigation bar of the conference website.